Jonnie Jenkins. Now, Jonnie is our strength and conditioning coach. He does many other things here within the institution, but from our eyes as a coach, or coaches, we look at him as pure gold. Jonnie went to college here, then became the assistant soccer coach for 2 years, right? And then took it upon himself to move into this position of kind of a trainer, strength and conditioning coach. Has gone on to get his
CSCS, Certified Strength and Conditioning Coach.
And the kids have this wonderful love-hate relationship with Jonnie. And it's amazing. He's like a good dentist. I'll leave it at that. Jonnie Jenkins, here we go.
I've lived and breathed at this college for the past 7 years and love everything that I do, love our athletes. What I want to focus with you guys on today is, basically with high school rowers, we're looking at, you don't have all the nice toys that I have behind us here, all the platforms, all the weights, all the mats and everything. So you have your boathouse, maybe you have some small equipment here and there. So I'm going to show you what you can do with your own body weight that can transform your rowers into elite athletes, because that's what we want them to be. So I'm going to focus on 3 things today. We're going to focus on these wonderful 2 participants here: flexibility, stabilization, and core. And the core, I don't just mean the 6-pack abs. I mean the whole LPAC, or the lumbopelvic hip complex. Everything that involves your core muscles, your lower back, your hip flexors, your glutes, your quads, your hamstrings, all of those things. The center of your body, the thing that gives you balance. And so I want to just demonstrate with them for the next 15 minutes some exercises and some strength things that you guys can do, in the comfort of your own boathouse and not have to have that expensive equipment around you. So this right here is Parker. He's one of our men's varsity rowers, and this is Rachel Benders. She's one of our women's varsity rowers. So I'm going to take them through first the whole flexibility phase of rowing. All of these exercises are tuned towards rowers, and I'll tell you why as they're doing them. So, front and center. They're going to start out just with a regular hamstring toe touch. So they're going to go down, all the way down. They should be really flexible, and they both are. They have great flexibility through their hamstrings here. Now, how we're going to adjust this to a rower. Think about how you sit up on the earth. You have your shoulders back, your spine's in a neutral position. So we're going to raise their back up just a little bit. Their shoulders are going to roll back and be neutral, and their heads are going to be up and facing the audience. Now their arms are going to raise up, and now we're getting some shoulder activity involved in it too. But we're actually still stretching the hamstrings as if we were to do it just a regular toe touch. It's unbelievable that this motion right here can strengthen their hamstrings, their quads, and their legs. All right, so from here, what they're going to do is they're going to swim their arms all the way back. So now we get some shoulder and some back stability in it as well. Some rotation with their rotator cuffs in their shoulders, because shoulders and back are extremely important in rowing. All right, so this is just the exercise that we do. So do 4 rotations, guys, forward and back. And what are you feeling right now, Parker? Where are you feeling tightness? Hamstrings, glutes, quads. And the shoulders as well. And he probably feels a little bit, because he hasn't warmed up much, he's probably feeling a little bit of a crunch in his shoulders, warming those rotator cuffs up. Okay, now we're going to drop down into a push-up position. So go ahead and drop down into a push-up position. Their backs are nice and flat, eyes are forward, they're nice and in line with their bodies. If Parker drops his hips, drop your hips, now he's putting a lot of pressure on his lower back. That's not healthy. If he raises his butt up, now he's putting more pressure on his legs and he's not supporting his upper body. So with a good inline position, this will work everything. It'll work your core, it'll work your hips, it'll work your quads. So a stretch that we do is almost as similar to a yoga stretch. So you're going to bring your right leg up past your right hand. Good, and now you see that they have a lot of flexibility. This is called a forearm to instep. And they have a lot of flexibility. They're going to take their forearms and drop it down by their instep. Now we're going to do something similar to yoga. We're going to take our right hand and we're going to open it up. And this is such a simple exercise, but think about what it's stretching now. Now it's stretching their groin, their inner hamstring, their quads, and when he opens it up, it's stretching out his oblique, stretching out his core, and working his shoulders as well. Now they're going to take their right hand, send it through their left, And this just stretches a different portion of the obliques as well. And then from there, they're going to plant their hands on each side of their front foot and drive up. Their front toe comes up, their knees locked out, both toes are forward. Now this is really getting their hamstring, really getting their back calf. Pretty much all of your stretching is rolled into one right here. All of your stretching that you do, you know, the toe touches, the quad stretches, everything's rolled into one in a very dynamic move. Now they're having difficulty holding this position. Like you look at Parker, his knee's shaking right now because it's a resisting stretch. So back down to the form instead. I want you to do 4 repetitions just the same way. Open up, good, send it through, and drive up. And then they're back down, they do 1 more, open up, send it through, and drive up. All right, and send both of your legs back and bring up the left, because we never want to just stretch one leg. So we bring up the other, they're going to do 3 repetitions on this side as well. Go ahead, guys. Good. And you think about this and how much it works their body, it stretches them out, but at the same time, it's really strengthening them. How many people think that they could get their leg up this far up in an inline position like this? You know, so it takes time. It takes time in building strength. You know, for those that are inexperienced with it, so now they're all in the push-up position. Rest your knees to the floor, just so you can relax. But you think about it in terms of when you're coming up into this position, you know, for those inexperienced, you can bend your knee just a little bit. You're still getting the same stretch. You're just not locking out that leg. All right, now we're going to do what we call a bird dog. This is for a lot of core stabilization. So we're going to take our right arm and left leg out straight. So opposite arm, opposite leg, knees are on the floor, and they're balancing their body. Now, if they're off balance at all, you may see somebody have a tendency to drop their arm or drop their leg because something's not stabilizing within their core. They have good inline balance through their core. Hip flexors are strong, rectus abdominis is strong, obliques are strong, and even shoulder strength is strong as well with the arm coming in line. So now we do some variations to this too. We can crunch it in. So we crunch it in, balancing that arm and that leg, really working that core, and we send it back out. Good, and now we can do something different as well as taking our right arm wide and our left leg wide. Now that works your hip flexors. It opens up your hips. It's a really amazing concept. Now back to center. Now we can do a couple repetitions just like that. So crunch it in, back out straight, take it wide, back to center, and rest. And then switching arm and leg. And they'll do 3 repetitions just on their own while I'm talking. When you think about their balance, their flexibility, you have something that you have your intrinsic oblique, you have your intrinsic core muscles, and you have your extrinsic core muscles. So your intrinsic are what they're working right now. They're your rectus abdominis, which is the center of your core. The internal obliques. This is what maintains your balance in the boat. You think about when you sit into a pair in a boat and you're wobbling back and forth, what do they have to do? They have to suck in their core muscles, they have to have their shoulders back and steady in the boat to keep that boat in line. Okay, so that's what they're doing with these exercises. They're really tucking what we call their belly button to their spine. So they're sucking in those abs, they're stabilizing those core muscles. From here, they're going to come back up to standing. What we're going to do is we're going to do a sumo squat. This is really similar to a row movement. So you're coming down, hands underneath the toes, legs are straight. Not many people can get their legs straight and their hands underneath the toes. You want to have feet shoulder width apart, toes are forward. Now from here, they're going to throw their hips back and come down into a squat with their hands still on their toes. Their elbows are going to stay inside the knees, and they're just basically pulling themselves back. We never want to have them come into a catcher position. If you pull it back, now you're really activating the glutes, you're activating the hamstrings, you're activating the core. Now back up, and this is a stretch, but as well as putting resistance on it, putting some strength on it. Back down into that squat. Good. Back up. Good. Back down to that squat. 8 repetitions of all of these exercises work really well. And back up and rest. Good. You know, all of these things now, pretty much, these 2 are warmed up. They're ready to go. And this is the type of warm-up that we do with pretty much all of our athletes. What we're going to do next is we're going to focus on some stabilization stuff. That's the importance, the core, the balancing. You think about simple exercises such as a crunch with a twist, or laying down flat on your back and doing suitcase crunches, or something that involves your neck and your back moving hard up. That's not good. It's creating spinal flexion. It's creating that lumbar spine to flex, and it's creating more tension on your back than what you should have. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on not rotational movements to begin, but we're going to focus on strong, steady movements that they have to hold their body weight in one stable position. So we're going to get down into a plank. And a plank, I'm sure most of you have seen it before. It's forearms with toes, bodies in line. Now they're going to feel a lot of pressure in this whole system with their lower back and their core. You're also going to feel it in your quads and your hamstrings as well. This is a simple thing to do with your rowers, off the water, And now we can even activate a new variation. They can go up and do a push-up. So go up and do a push-up. And that just worked their shoulders. And to think that, it's as simple as just pushing your body weight up, a lot harder than you think. Back down to a push-up. Now up with your left hand. And they're pushing up with their left hand. Back down to a push-up, up with their right hand. And so something like this, the raising and lowering of their bodies will create that balance, that stabilization. All right, next up we're going to do some core and balance, do some heel taps, some hip crossovers, and I'll talk around. So flip over, nice and quick. Feet are up in the air. Now hip crossovers will work their external obliques. So we're going to take the feet side to side. Once again, body weight activities. Their legs don't touch the ground. Watch that TV benders. And back across. Good. Watch that platform there, Parker. Good. But they're so good at this that they can take their legs, straighten them out, and really take it from side to side. Don't let their feet touch. Now they're really working their external obliques. They're putting a lot of pressure on their quads and their hamstrings as well. All right, now leave the feet straight up in the air. Now we have heel taps going down. So knees are slightly bent. They're just heel tapping down and up. Good. And the legs come out straight, all the way down to the ground. And now we have straight leg crunches. So they're coming up, their lower back is touching. Notice that they're not crunching with their spine. Their spine isn't curling. Their body's staying straight. Benders has their eyes up to the ceiling. The chin's not tucked. Because if you tuck the chin, you're putting pressure on your neck. So she's looking up to the ceiling, really working that core. All right, good job. You guys are back up to standing. Now we're going to throw in some weight stuff, and we're going to show you some dynamic strength that you can do with just single arm dumbbells. So Parker with the 45, we're going to do clean and presses on each hand. We're going to do 5 on each, okay? And I'll talk you through it. Think about a regular clean and press. Have you ever seen Olympic lifters where they're coming up into a big clean and up into a press? This is the same thing, but with lighter weight and only one dumbbell. It's just utilizing more dynamic stability. So here we go. 5 on each. Ready to go? Good. And he sinks and he drives up. Both of them have stability down into that squat and up. Good. And once they have 5 on the right, they're going to switch. So they're basically getting a workout here. I can see them sweating a little bit, which is good. Which is always what we want in that first 10 minutes of a workout. If you notice, their form is perfect. Their toes are forward, they're sinking down, they're giving themselves some give as they press up. You never want to just press up with your arm because it's not beneficial. Rowers use everything. They use their legs, they use their back. We got to utilize all that. Good. Good. Now I'm going to show you a snatch. So you think of an explosive movement, you're coming all the way up, boom, all the way up to the top with no hesitation in between. All right, 2 on each side of the snatches. Ready? Go. Now they're exploding all the way up to the top. And they're really using their back muscles, their quads, their hamstrings to explode up. Good, and rest. We have one other thing that I'm going to show, some Swiss ball stuff. Quickly, we only have a minute left. So get out onto the Swiss ball, feet are on the ball, hands are forward. That's it, get out. There you go. We're going to show you some pikes. So go ahead, raise your hips up. And those are the pikes. They're just raising their hips up, their bodies in line. They're getting those core muscles again. Back out. The ability to hold there is pretty impressive as well. Send it up. Good. And back out.